In today's video, we will see how you will start predicting if you are a beginner in astrology. Welcome to Listen to Cosmos, everyone. So, I am going to predict a chart today, and I won't go into any detailed prediction from this chart. I will start predicting only some basics about this chart without going into much details. So you can see this chart right side. This is a chart of a Gemini ascendant. Jupiter is sitting in the first house, Ketu sitting in the second house in the sign of Cancer, Moon is sitting in fifth house in the sign of Libra. In the 8th house you can see a conjunction of Rahu and Saturn in the sign of Capricorn. 9th house has got Mars in the sign of Aquarius. There is an exalted Venus in 10th house in the sign of Pisces, and in 11th house you can see a Buddhaditya yoga formed by Sun and Mercury. So this is how we read a chart. Now I have to predict some basics from this chart. So let's start from the first house. You see, Jupiter is a benefic planet and it represents the wisdom of a person. So whenever Jupiter goes to the first house of your birth chart, there is a tendency that this native won't like to listen whatever others are saying to him. He or she will be like, I am wise enough, I know all the things, who are you to say that I should do things this way or that way? So this will be the basic attitude of the native, because Jupiter represents the Guru, and the role of a Guru is to give you advice. Guru doesn't take advice from anyone. That's why Jupiter in first house will develop this kind of tendency. Now what's positive with this Jupiter is, because it is aspecting the 5th house and 9th house with its 5th and 9th aspect, this native is not going to stop his or her education at a very small level. Native will continue his or her education up to maybe MBA or maybe a PhD level, or it can be a CA, not a basic degree level. That's all. That's what this Jupiter will do, because 5th house also represents our studies, 9th house represents our higher studies, and Jupiter sitting in the first house is aspecting both the houses. Now let's come to second house. In the second house you can see there's a Ketu. Second house basically represents our savings, and a malefic planet like Ketu, which represents a splitting or some detachment. So sitting on the second house, it will try to cause some disturbance in your accumulated wealth. That means whenever you try to accumulate your wealth, there will be some expenses and your money will be gone somewhere. That's what this second house Ketu can do. Next comes 5th house. You have a Moon in the 5th house in the sign of Libra. So Libra is the sign of relationships, and 5th house also represents relationships, mainly the relationships before marriage. And Moon, being a benefic planet, that too aspected by Jupiter, is going to give a relationship at a very early stage of this native's life. Next comes 8th house, where there is a conjunction of Rahu and Saturn. So Rahu and Saturn is a very deadly combination, and in the house of in-laws, 8th house represents our in-laws. So Rahu and Saturn conjunction in the 8th house of in-laws is going to cause some trouble with the in-laws. Maybe the native doesn't have a good bonding with the in-laws, it can be some disturbance with the in-laws. So this is what this combination can do. It can do actually a lot more than that, but because it's basics, so I will stick only to this much. Then there comes 9th house Mars. 9th house Mars makes people very much energetic. They are not those people who will go somewhere and get tired. They have a huge energy in them, they can work for a long time. But in the sign of Aquarius, it's a little disturbed. Then you can see Venus exalted in the 10th house of career. So here the exalted Venus will make the native want a career where there is some creativity. Why? Because the planet Venus represents creativity and it has gone to the 10th house of career. So this native is going to find creativity in his career, or else he or she will not like the job. He or she will be like, I just want to change this job because I don't find anything creative here. That's what this Venus in the 10th house can do. Have Venus in the 10th house, you can check this. You want some career where there is creativity. Then you can see in the 11th house, there is a combination of Sun Mercury, which is a Buddhaditya yoga, and it's forming in the sign of Aries where Sun is exalted. So third lord becoming exalted is not very good combination, but one thing is that when Sun is in Aries sign in the 11th house, none of the natives' work is going to stop because of wealth. There will be disturbance in saving the wealth, but inflow of money will be there, and none of the work of native will stop because of wealth. Somehow native will get the money. So this is some basic predictions on how a beginner should start predicting. If you like the video, press the thumbs up and subscribe my channel and press the bell button so all my latest videos reach you. We will soon meet with one more interesting videos. Keep watching Listen to Cosmos. Thank you.